I Love Mortgage Brokering, episode 75.
Want to rock your mortgage business? Then crank up the volume with your host, Scott Heckford, on I Love Mortgage Brokering.
Hi, Broker Nation. I am introducing our guest today, Lorne Andrews. He's been a broker for 10 years, been in the business for the last 25. Lorne is the only licensed Brian Buffini facilitator in Ontario. He also created a cool program called Agent Marketing System for realtors that brokers use to kind of help each other. It's going to be a pretty awesome interview. I'm stoked for this interview today. Lorne, are you ready to rock?
I am ready to rock.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your business?
Again, my name is Lorne. You did a great introduction, and you probably said everything I was going to say about myself. I'm a broker in the Toronto area, GTA. I've got about 25 agents under our umbrella right now. We, as you mentioned, the agent marketing system is a key tool which we develop to help realtors build their business, and it's being launched right now with some real estate brokerages and actual real estate boards right now. That's how great it's been. For the last 9 years, I've actually also been a facilitator for the Ontario Real Estate Association, their college location up at York University. And again, as you mentioned, I'm recently partnered with Mr. Buffini. Brian Buffini is a local facilitator. Excited and. The momentum is awesome. It's things are going really well.
So no one is a little kid. I'm sure when you're in kindergarten, you didn't think, hey, when I grow up, I want to be a mortgage broker and have a brokerage. But so how did you get into the mortgage business?
I kind of started doing it probably, I think it was the early 90s. I used to work with Canada Trust, and I started there is, one of my early jobs, worked up the ranks, started doing mortgages. I left for a short period of time and got into something totally different. I was running sporting events and, running hockey leagues and totally different industry. And then I think around 2005, around there, I decided, hey, I'm going to jump back, and I missed it. I didn't realize I liked it so much until I left it. And then I realized, hey, you know what, this is something I really want to get into again. So around 2005, I ended up jumping back into it, and, I haven't looked back since.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And so when you first started, did you have this goal? Because right now you're building a brokerage and you're broker as well, but did you have a goal of building a brokerage, or was it just to be sort of a broker, work your own deals? What was your sort of initial plan?
You know what, when I first started, I sat down, with this one gentleman, and I said, listen, I think I'd like to do some mortgages. I used to do it for the bank. He said, no problem. Here's what you got to do. And I signed the papers, and instead of receiving money, I wrote money because I had to pay for checks, registrations, and everything else. But and I said, okay, I'm so excited. Now what? And he says, go sell mortgages. And I was like, okay, wasn't too sure what to do. So, it was a struggle early on, and for a large part it was a struggle because I just had no guidance. It was you're kind of on your own, so it could be a very, very lonely industry if you let it become that way. And so I was working as a mortgage broker, just trying to do my own deals, and developing, my own brokerage was, it was an evolution. It was more of a process because, I realized what I was missing, and, maybe I could change it a little bit in terms of how it would work. And there's other, brokers that are, not, they have, they're organized in that way too, but I just kind of got that bug, and I started heading towards, starting to see how I could develop my own brokerage.
Mm-hmm. And so how's it been going over the last few years then with the brokerage building? Have you found yourself transitioning more into sort of team building and coaching your agents and less into the day-to-day brokering?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's, especially when you start your own brokerage, I had my own team when I was with my previous company, but it was a company that kind of took care of the administration, the compliance, and those type of things. Also, I developed a little franchise with the new company, and also I had to take care of all that. So there was a lot of hurdles, because it was just new stuff that would come, but it was also challenges that were great. And so now you're in a position where you're trying to learn some of the stuff, but also try and build a team. as well. So, if I could go back and do it over, I would definitely do it a little bit differently. It was like there was no manual handed out saying, here's exactly how you do it. So, it's been a little bit of a journey, but you just got to hang in there. And I would say that if you can reach out, I have another franchise here where I reached out to them, and they were so open, like they just opened their doors and showed us how to do everything and brought us in, and they were willing to share everything, under their roof in terms of how things were done. And I think the industry needs more people like that. That was, it helped immensely. It really, really did.
Right. Well, that's kind of what all this show is all about too. Part is just brokers helping brokers, because in my experience has been most of the courses that you take in to get licensed have little to do with actually running a mortgage business. It's more of a hurdle to keep, everybody from getting a mortgage license. But so I'm going to switch to it's quotes. I love quotes. I love how they're portable. I love how they're memorable, how they can kind of help you stay on track like a compass. And can you share a quote that's really had an impact on your life or business?
You know what? That's a good question, because you know what? When we talk, it depends on where you are in your life and business. There always seems to be quotes that sort of jump out at you. And influence you depending on where you are in your life, But I think that one thing that I would say would be consistent for what I do would be a great Jim Rohn quote. And it would be, if you're not willing to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. And I believe that to be true, and I keep that as my main motto whenever I start wandering off into outside of the box. This is one of the quotes that's sort of my motivation to keep in my mind all the time.
It's like your compass. So can you share an example of something that maybe that was leading you outside the box that you were like, hey, that quote really helped you, to continue pushing in instead of just shrinking back and not doing that thing?
Well, I think that, even back when, I've had some, people that were involved in the business with me at, different points. And when I kind of had this vision of, where the market is going. And I think that, with our particular market, you get so many more restrictions on refinancing and everything else that you really need to tap into that purchase market. And the best way to tap into a purchase market is through your realtor groups. So, you had to, then to come up with some type of system so you're not just that other mortgage broker, calling your realtor saying, can you send me deals? You got to bring anything that you get out of something, you have to bring tremendous value and put it into something. And, when I had this vision for this whole agent marketing system, I would say there's the 4 or 5 people that have been in the industry for, quite some time thought I was crazy. They said it'll never happen. It'll never work. You'll never get it going. And you know what? It's just something I knew it had I saw the need. Right? I really saw the need, because it wasn't just, for my benefit to create it. It was for the benefit of the people that would be using it. And, if we start focusing outwardly to of others, then, your own needs will be, fulfilled along the way. So I think that's probably, what stands out in this particular industry in terms of how that would apply.
Right. No, that's good. The other thing I've noticed talking to successful brokers, entrepreneurs, business owners is that failure happens. It's never fatal, but there's always when you look back, there's always a lesson in it for you. So can you share an example of something that you had failed at and the lesson that you learned?
Oh, okay. Where do I start with that one? Okay. You know what? I think when it comes to failures, it's when you look back and depending on how close you are to the failure, how much time has actually passed, you start to appreciate over a period of time, the experiences of what came out of it, and that experience becomes the success of that failure. I think one of the big things, there's probably a period of time, about 5 or 6 years, and it was overlapping when I was doing mortgages, and it was actually taking away a lot of my time. I was doing this big fundraising event, but it started as a hobby. It was in Toronto, and then it started to grow and grow. I had about 5,000 or 6,000 people attending this thing every October, but it never grew to the point where it could sustain itself financially. Which I guess in my mind was the failure side of that, because I had to let it go, and it stopped happening. But the event itself, it contributed a lot to the community, and it changed a lot of lives. Like we used to work with at-risk youth and engage them and everything else. And even up to 2 months ago, I ran into that kid that he was at risk of dropping out of high school, but he had talked to me. He was actually in college now. He was going for something else, but he told me just his engagement in that particular project, motivated him to get his life together and stuff like that. And it happened to a bunch of kids. So, you know what? So there's always success that comes out of everything. And that whole experience, I learned to be a better business person. I learned a lot more about, planning effectively, working with people. And would I take it back? No, because it did mean a lot it meant a lot to me. Like I wouldn't have grown if I didn't. And those people that maybe aren't as successful in their lives right now, they just need to fail a few more times, and then they'll be much better.
Right, provided they take the lesson in the failure, right? Like
I guess
one of my jiu-jitsu coaches would say to me, you either win or you learn. And so it's this idea that when you win, it's like, well, you can't think, okay, how do I win better? It's like, okay, when you lose that's when there's the opportunity for learning. That's when, if you pause and reflect, you're like, okay, yeah, there's some things that we can improve. But
absolutely.
So the other thing I noticed talking to successful brokers is they have systems and processes. They don't just sort of, hope for the best, show up and hope for the best, and they are willing to adjust them over time. So can you share an example of an administrative process, maybe that was in your business that wasn't working as well as you would like, and then an adjustment you made and the outcome you got?
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. In business, business takes us in directions that we're confronted with in areas that we may not really be skillful at. And I think it's important, we need to recognize our strengths and focus on those strengths, develop our skills, grow. And when I started my own business many years ago, I made the mistake thinking I really needed to know everything. I needed to really have a grasp of, from how to be the accountant, the bookkeeper, the compliance officer, or whatever area of the business, because there's so many areas of the business. And the actual fact is many of those things I really wasn't very good at. I didn't like doing it. And if you don't like doing it, it makes it even worse. And I realized, I shouldn't be doing it. So, unfortunately, for our direction or our franchise, one of the things that I adjusted to is I consolidated our whole administration. Okay, so you're talking the deal support person, you're talking administrators, compliance officers, and everything else. Consolidate with another large franchise. It just really meant I don't really even need to oversee it. It's self-sustaining. And by sharing that administration of my business, it's allowed me to focus on, developing my team, creating the different tools for my team to diversify, be more successful in the marketplace. And that's really where my attention needs to be. So that would be my recommendation. If there's things you got an anchor that's really, slowing you down in terms of you progressing, you got to cut that rope, attach to something else, and so you can keep moving forward.
Right. And taking advantage of what it sounds like you did, a strategic partnership, so that you can focus on the stuff that you are good at and let someone else focus on something that they're good at. Yeah. And it's probably something that they enjoy doing too. So, right. It would be wrong for me to take that away from them. So I've also talking to successful brokers, as they have sales process. They don't just sort of, show up and hope for the best, and they're willing to adjust them. And actually, I'm thinking maybe what I would like to ask about is sort of the agent mastermind and how some of your agents or some of your brokers are actually implementing this in building successful referral partnerships.
You mean from the agent marketing system?
Yeah, the agent marketing system. So and that's incidentally, that's how I had found out about you in this REM magazine, that they'd done an article on you. And I was like, hey, this sounds interesting. And you're providing some value to realtors that's not just, here's my rate sheet, send me a deal. Yeah. And so I wanted this is the whole crux of what I want to chat with you about.
Perfect. Yeah, no problem. So basically the tool, the agent marketing system, is something that we it's a whole platform. It's like an umbrella for the realtors to actually, build their business, but kind of have all the tools under one umbrella. So, from the training to the, the resources to the listing videos, listing presentations, everything else. So when a realtor signs up with the agent marketing system, there's a process one. So when they sign up, they're actually assigned a mortgage and marketing support specialist. So they get a confirmation, they get their passwords, their codes, and everything else. And then we assign them to one of our agents. So our agents are trained to be their mortgage marketing support specialist. So they will reach out to every member and arrange that face-to-face meeting, right? So then we connect. Now, the idea with that face-to-face meeting is to be able for our agents to sort of be a little bit of traffic director, to point them to where these resources are and reassure them that they're there to help them, because everybody's kind of at different stages from technology and everything else. And with that, we give them a complete realtor needs assessment. So we kind of lift up the hood on their business. We see where the gaps are. Do they have a business plan? Where are they in their business? How many transactions? How do they measure those transactions? Like, do they have a CRM they use? So we can identify where they're lacking and where there's gaps. And then what I'll do on an upper level is I will carry forward education seminars, either webinar form or we go across the GTA and we send the invitations out to these agents to engage them to come and learn about those areas that they need to focus on, right? So it's kind of sort of a two-stage effect where that one-on-one interaction is important, okay? And with that, we can support it too, because I know that even for my mortgage agents, they don't know everything in terms of, what needs to be in place for the realtors, but the tools are there. So they just need to know where to point the finger, so to speak, and say, here's where we find this. You don't have a business plan, here's where we download our business plan, and then, pass it on, that type of thing. And the other thing on the education side is when we have these subjects. So, for example, we'll go out into, say, a real estate board, and, our subject would be, lead generation, how to generate leads quickly on the internet or everything else. So a lot of our stuff isn't mortgage detailed, right, in terms of our education. But when they're in there, we integrate all our mortgage services with what we identify would be needs, positive needs that from the realtor's perspective, what will attract them, right? Does that make sense?
Totally. So then just from a mechanical standpoint, are realtors signing up to your program and then you introduce a mortgage broker, or are mortgage brokers going out to their realtor partners and saying, hey, we have this cool tool and let me help you, in your business? Like what does that look like? Where are these real estate agents getting connected to the system?
Yeah. And it's both. It's both. So they'll go out to brokerages, they'll host meetings, they'll talk about agent marketing system and lead generations and everything else. So they'll be bringing the agents in from that side. And then obviously when people do come through the system if they're coming through, say, the real estate board or other places, they come through both ways, right? And then what we do is as realtors come in, we have a whole database of the realtors. So they're always assigned to a specific mortgage person. So if a member calls, we know who they're assigned to. Right. So, and our agents are trained that if somebody approaches them, they will, they contact us and say, is agent so-and-so from RE/MAX assigned to anybody? And we'll look them up and say, no, they're not. We'll assign them to you. Or we'll say, yes, they are. They're assigned to, Steve. So that agent can now refer them off to Steve. So there's it's not like, throwing shark chum in the water and then, everybody's feeding on the realtor leads. It's strategically done. So what happens is my team actually works as teams going out into these brokerages, and they all collectively work together. So it's actually a very, very engaging team environment that we have because everybody's helping each other build their relationships.
That's cool. That's very cool. And so, and you've been having good success in terms of like realtors are finding value. And what it sounds to me like, I don't know if maybe you touched on this or we talked on it before we got on the air, but that you're not creating a lot of the tools. You're just basically aggregating them because there's great trainers out there like Brian Buffini and, what is it, Robinson guy?
Richard Robbins.
And so they have a lot of great stuff. And you're just basically
they have a lot of great stuff. And we take a lot of their stuff that's in there and not just the trainers, but the key providers like Morris Marketing with their exact contact, or the referral system that they have. So we have print providers that are now part of it. So when they need printing done, it's accessible to them and they get discounts on it. There's a whole bunch of different other services that are in there as well.
Right.
So it's just, again, it's kind of covers the whole spectrum of what realtors need to build their business.
Right. No, that's awesome. And another thing I want to ask about is diversifying income. So I've noticed talking to mortgage brokers that some people say, yes, you should, diversify, get into, other lines of business like insurance and different things. And other brokers say, no, just stick to brokering. I just wanted to ask where you fell, which kind of camp you fell in.
Well, it's funny you should say that because we were just nominated for the Canadian Mortgage Awards for Diversifier of the Year, right?
So then you obviously are diversifying. You fall into that
we're
camp.
Diversifying, right? So it was a Canadian nomination. It was awesome, right? So yeah, it was a good question. You know what? And I think that, anything that's related to what you're doing, that ties in, and I don't know about the insurance side of it. All I can tell you is kind of what we're doing. And obviously we developed tools for the agents, for the agent marketing system, which we talked about. But we've also developed in the employee mortgage pricing.ca site. So we actually have a whole employee mortgage platform that's actually going out. We have large companies like Apotex, and we're working on some other large companies right now that are signing up for the employee mortgage program. We hold a real estate sort of wing under our umbrella too. So we actually connect the real estate services with this employee mortgage benefit program. So from the employees for these companies that are under this program, they actually get rebates towards the real estate commissions, as well as other aspects we actually put into this particular program too. So for example, our agents can go out and with all their realtor referral partners and get the realtors. What's happening now? The realtors are starting to bring in all these companies into this program, and the realtors become the exclusive real estate lead from these particular companies. So it's almost like you're deploying your own sales force to go start bringing in companies, which is working out fantastic. One of the other things too, we require a banking license, so we can do unsecured line of credits up to $25,000 now, and plus banking products, so we can do tax-free savings accounts, RSPs, everything else. So now we've kind of diversified in that to bring more value in the financial relationship for those people that we come across.
Right. That's really good. Yeah, that's awesome. You're giving me more ideas that I'm like, my brain is full and I'm like, okay, I need more ideas. Like I need a hole in the head because but it's good. It's good that you're thinking creatively and trying to figure out ways to help your team, because it's definitely not something that all brokerage owners do. Some of them are more just kind of like sign them up, but you seem like you're trying to really help them build their business by providing all these different tools and resources. So I'm going to move to the rapid fire questions. So these you can answer a little shorter answers. So what's the number one thing holding back most mortgage brokers from being successful? Okay. You know what? I would say that, I guess the best way to say that is that the best players in the world usually have great coaches. And I've been blessed. I have 3 major influences and mentors in my career, which would be like Lorne who's been a great, marketing coach for me. Richard Robbins, Brian Buffini. So I would say the best investment anybody could ever make in themselves would be to invest in themselves. If you want to grow, invest in yourself fearlessly would be my advice. Right. That's good. And what one thing or habit you think's made you successful? Ooh, okay. That's a tough one. If I had to pick one habit, overall, this has been stuff that I've been working on with my habits. I'm very entrepreneurial, and like, see a squirrel, I'm off there. So I'm really trying to focus on what I need to focus on. But I think that the number one advice I can do is in terms of your planning and your habits, you need to do everything for yourself. First, do everything, schedule your week, schedule your day, do everything you can in the mornings, the afternoon, reserve for the other people. I have a stack of thank you cards right beside my phone. So after every conversation, I hang up the phone, the card gets filled out. So every night I'm sending off, 5 or 6 cards. Part of the Buffini system, he preaches calls, notes, pop-bys, and believe me, it works. Those notes, especially when they're handwritten, people don't get those anymore. Some people save them. It's amazing what a handwritten note will do, and just a little bit of appreciation. Even for the mortgage brokers out there,
to truly change things. When you do a deal, do a little handwritten note to the underwriter, to your lender. Just say, hey, thanks for your help on that deal. Because I guarantee when you call next time, they're going to pick up the phone pretty quickly. So they'll remember who you are.
Right. No, that's true. And do you have an internet resource or software program you use to make your business more successful?
I use both like Dropbox and Evernote. Dropbox I've used for a while because it's a great resource that you can kind of share files on the fly. As a broker owner, I use to share lender notes and files. I've actually created a separate portal for my team. Okay, so they can actually go in, and I have the whole list of lenders, and they can go in, and it's like kind of a one-stop shop just for my team, so they can go see, they pick a lender, they can see all those lender products, and it's all categorized for them. Because especially, depending on the company you're with, sometimes you get inundated with these emails, and these lender emails, they come like, 10, 15, 20 a day. And then you're dealing with this client 2 months from now, and you think, geez, I remember reading an email about that about 2 months ago.
Right.
So you don't come across these. So I consolidate all this into that area, which it's been very helpful for myself and my team.
Right. That's good. That's awesome. And if you could recommend one book for our listeners, what would it be?
Books. Okay, so you know what? That's one thing I'm working on too. I need to read more. My goal is to read at least one book a month. One of them, probably the most recent one that I read, actually came from a recommendation from Brian Buffini called Sandbox Wisdom by Tom Asseker. It's a great book, kind of opens your eyes, understanding limitations that you create for yourself. And, to succeed in today's marketplace, we have to redirect our attention from ourselves to others. And it was, it was great. It's an easy read, not a big book, but kind of just opens your eyes to a lot of things that you forget about over time.
Right. No, that's good. And so this is the last question, one of my favorites. Remember the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah.
So the car, the DeLorean. Imagine if I could put you in the DeLorean and send you back 10 years to 2005 when you started brokering, and you could give yourself 3 pieces of advice. What would you tell yourself?
Awesome. Okay. One of the things I would probably, when you're young and you think you know everything, I would probably tell myself, no one is as smart as everyone, and never think you know all the answers, and you got to open yourself to the wisdom of others, And I find that whether you're, 20 years experience in the industry or brand new, everybody has wisdom to share. And sometimes the best ideas come from the lesser experiences. They haven't been jaded from the life experiences. So, keep your eyes open. That would be, and be open to others. The second one, I would say, I think I touched upon it before. I would say get a coach. If I had a map of where I wanted to go early on in my career, I sure would have got there a lot sooner. And I really believe a good coach or mentor can actually really help you achieve your goals much, much quicker. You wanted 3, didn't you?
And then number 3, yeah.
What would I say? You know what? Okay, this I think is important. So I would say the third one, I say, I used to be always concerned what people, what people would think about me. But here's what I would suggest. It doesn't matter what people think about us. What matters is how we make them feel about themselves and their decisions in our presence. And I think that is key. And I think that's kind of what I would kind of tell myself. And hopefully we would have had this interview 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Lorne, I really appreciate your time today, man. And where can people find you online?
You know what? You can, our website is expertfinancial.ca. And you can definitely, that's our team website, so you can find me there, or even stop by the agentmarketingsystem.com, and you'll find me there as well.
And are you guys hiring at all?
We are hiring. Again, strategically, we're looking at, we're looking for people that are looking to really build their business, whether you're experienced or even newer in the industry, but are willing to take that business to that next level. Sales is key in this business, and I think we all either know that or we learn it very quickly. We're in this business, so yeah, for sure. If you're in the GTA area and you're looking for a great brokerage to build your business, to build an incredible business, definitely give me a call, and we'd love to meet with anybody.
Awesome. Well, anybody listening to this can get links, show notes. There'll be links to Lorne, his website, and you can connect with him. And Lorne, I really appreciate your time today, man, and I hope you continue to crush it.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, Scott.
Want to rock your mortgage business? Then crank up the volume with your host, Scott Peckford, on I Love Mortgage Brokering.
Hey, Broker Nation, Scott Peckford here. Have you joined our VIP club for mortgage brokers yet? If not, you're missing out. We share exclusive content not available on the web or the show. We share scripts, step-by-step guides, and other insider tips to help you save time and make you more money. I can't tell you how many times after I turn off the recorder, a guest starts sharing some awesome advice or a script or a tip, and I take the best of this and share it with my VIPs. If you want to get on the list, visit ilovemortgagebrokering.com/VIP. That's ilovemortgagebrokering.com/VIP. Oh, and one other thing. Since this is exclusively for mortgage brokers, there is a skill testing question. Good luck, and I hope you continue to rock your mortgage biz.